Hi, guys, and welcome to lesson 6 of the beginner course learning chess in English. Today, we're going to be learning about pins. So, what is a pin? Last lesson, we talked about piece values. So, what is the value of a knight? The value of a knight is 3, value of a bishop is 3, and value of the king is infinity because agar king dies, then game is over. So, what does this mean? Abhi, if the knight moves, the bishop will capture the king. The knight move nahi kar sakta. If knight moves, game is over. Knight can't move. So we can use that knowledge to win material or sometimes even checkmate. In this scenario, probably win material. This is a very principled move. What are we threatening with this move? तो अगर black some simple move करेगा nf6 knight to f6 simple move हम अभी d5 कर सकते हैं. And now, like, okay, black is going to see, oh, pawn, no defense for pawn. Me see pawn, me capture pawn. But if the black knight captures this pawn, now we have the ability to capture the knight. हम knight capture कर सकते हैं. And the crazy thing is, अभी अगर black मतलब knight move नहीं कर सकता, the idea is we put pressure on the knight. So the point of d4 is to play d5, pawn to d5, and then we threaten to take the knight. It's called putting pressure on the pinned piece. Putting pressure on the pinned piece. Putting pressure on the pinned piece. That is a very important principle in the opening, and sometimes in the end game and middle game as well. We will look at some examples soon. So putting pressure on the pinned piece. Now black is going to see, and okay, there's no d5 for you. Okay, so how can we put pressure on the pinned piece? Now, what is the pinned piece again? Knight f6 is pinned piece. क्योंकि ये piece हिल नहीं सकता, तो ये pinned है, जा नहीं सकता basically. Yeah. So how do we put pressure on the pinned piece? Knight takes d4. अभी दो attackers है c3, c6 पे. Knight भी है और bishop भी है. दो attacker. Now let's example करते हैं black को. black दिखता है कि दो attacker है. ये अच्छा चीज नहीं है. मैं एक attacker को निकालता हूँ. So they will play a6. Now we will take the knight. This is check. Okay. Black has to take bishop because we have taken knight. So now we have taken one knight, 3 points. They have taken one bishop, 3 points. 3 minus 3, so equal trade. But now we can take pawn on c6. That was one extra point we got. And now this queen has to move so that we can retreat or we can defend. So because of that pin, we won one pawn, which is very good. This is good. White is better in this position. Let's look at another example. Okay. So this is a very interesting position, and I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I want you to find the pin. Okay, guys. The pin that we are supposed to find here is rook to e1. Now, which rook doesn't matter. You can play this rook or you can play this rook, but doesn't really matter. If we play this now, this knight move nahi kar sakta. This knight can't move. Even if knight wanted to move, knight can't move. Because if the second the knight moves, we will capture the king. This is a pin. Okay, so now black is like, okay, you are threatening to capture my knight. Let me defend my knight. How can we put pressure on the pinned piece? I'll give you 10 seconds. No, I'll give you 20 seconds. The move is f4. f4 is worth 1 point. Right, pawn is only worth 1 point. And see, what we could have done is we could have taken this knight. But now this is bad because we lost 5 points. Rook is 5 points. Knight is only 3 points. We lost material. We lost our rook. We won our knight. This is bad. So we can play f4. What f4 does is it threatens to capture this knight, right? And now black can't really stop the knight, the knight from being captured. Black can't do anything. So say you move your king. If you move your king, then you aren't in check, and if then your king is not going to be in check. One point is you can't defend this piece anymore. Knight cannot be defended again. So after black plays a move like this, we will capture the knight, and we got 3 points of material for absolutely nothing. And if black wants to get pawn back, we get one more knight. So we got 6 points of material, and we lost 1 point of material, which is very good. And now white is completely crushing. White is completely winning. I want to do a similar example. Let's try something again. Okay. This is also quite interesting. In this example, it's a similar idea. It's almost same example. What is the difference? This pawn is there is the only difference. Okay, so what will be the pin we do? Rook e1, right? Whichever rook we want to move, say we move this one. Now, how can black try to defend this piece? Same thing, right? Knight. But we're going to play f4. We talked about this just now. But now, black can defend the knight again, right? Which move f6. Abhi, they have 2 defenders. We have 2 attackers. Normally means white should not capture because black will end up with the last piece. But in this position, if we capture, we get 1 knight, 3 points of material, and they only get 1 point, which is 1 point of material. So we just won one, humne jeeta, 1 knight for 1 pawn. Now we won't capture again. This is bad. Now if we capture, we are losing, right? Because now we have gotten 2 knights, 1 knight and 1 pawn, 4 points of material for 1 pawn and 1 rook, which is 5 points. Let me say again, right? Knight is 3 points of material. Pawn is 1 point of material. If we capture the knight, we have won 3 points of material. हमने जीता 3 point. एक knight is जीता. But if the pawn takes, right? अब ये pawn लेगा, अभी हम कुछ नहीं करेंगे. क्योंकि अगर हम ले अभी अगर हम ये pawn capture किए, फिर हम रुक हारते हैं, और in the end, we won 1 knight and we won 1 pawn, 4 points of material, but we lost our pawn, this pawn, and we lost our rook, this rook. That's a bad deal because we lost 6 points of material and we won only 4. That's bad. So we will just end here. But this f4 move is the same idea. We're putting pressure on the pinned piece. Okay, I want to do one more example. But this is different, by the way. This time it's the queen. If the knight moves, that's still bad because now this time it's a legal move, right? Last time it was not allowed to move because if you move, you lose the king, which is illegal move, but game would be over. But here, you can do that, right? But you lose a queen. So you lost 9 points of material, you only gained 3 points of material, which is very bad. Yeah. But here, how can we put pressure on the pinned piece? One way, I'll give you the 10 seconds. One way for us to put pressure on the pinned piece here is to play e5, because e5 threatens to capture this knight, not with the bishop, because if bishop captures, I give 3 points, they give I get 3 points, they get 3 points, equal. But if I play e5, हम क्या बोल रहे हैं? हम बोल रहे हैं हम आपका knight लेंगे, और आपको सिर्फ हमारा pawn मिलेगा. That's not a good deal. So then, but the problem is they can't stop it. ये रोक नहीं सकते हैं, क्योंकि अगर knight हिला, फिर queen dies. Queen will get captured. So white is winning. This is an opening I play. This is called the Grunfeld defense. Okay? And I want to talk to you about this specific position. This is a very popular position. बहुत लोग ये position को पहुंचते हैं games में. Very popular. And look at this, right? This pawn is pinned to this other pawn because if the pawn captures, our bishop will capture their pawn, and what we are threatening here, this is called a fork. ये आखिरी हफ्ते में, next week, we will talk about this specific thing. Okay, it's called a fork. So the fork attacks the king and it attacks the rook. And the king has to move so that we can capture the rook. Now, black is completely winning. क्योंकि हमने एक रुक जीता ना, हमने एक pawn दिया, फिर एक pawn मिला, फिर रुक मिला. So we lost one pawn, we gained one pawn, and we gained a rook. 5 points of material. We won. Okay, guys, very good, quick session, quick week session. I will see you next week. Bye.